Welcome back to Overhead Athletics. We're going to go through elbow extension self-mobilizations, 3 of them that you can apply if you do have a capsular limitation that's limiting your elbow extension. We just did a video on elbow extension assessment that you can do on your own at home, looking at what's limiting your elbow extension and if it truly is limited to begin with. If you haven't watched that video, I highly encourage you to go watch that video before you view this one, because I don't want you to incorrectly apply mobilizations to your elbow that you don't necessarily need. If you've seen that video and you know that you have a capsular limitation, we're going to go through some different ways that you can improve that on your own. We've done one other video on that, so we're going to refresh that mobilization, which is actually our favorite mobilization, and then we're going to go through some different compression and distraction techniques that you can use to mobilize your capsule, get your olecranon, this bone here, to sit in that fossa a little bit better, and ultimately help your ability to extend your elbow in sports. For example, throwing. When I throw and I slam into elbow extension repeatedly, I can start to develop some bone spring and stuff in my elbow, posterior elbow impingement, that's going to limit my ability to throw. It's going to cause me pain, and is eventually going to lead to degeneration and early degeneration in my elbow. So first off the bat, I got a bench here that's secured down. I got a pole here. I can use a bat, I can use a golf club, whatever. If it's hard, I would encourage you to put some towel or some padding. For the purpose of the video, I'm not actually going to do that. I can come down onto a knee here. I got my hand hooked up under the bench. I can actually hold the bench if I want, but I'm going to activate some finger flexors and some wrist flexors at that time. So if I like to just take my heel of my hand and just slide it right under the edge of that bench there, that way it's kind of secured. I don't have to activate any muscles. And from there, like I said, we've already done a video on this, so I'm going to go through real quick. If you want to, go back and check that video. From here, I pull back this way, so I'm fulcruming on my body, which pushes this end forward and actually glides the humerus bone forward, where anterior, ventral, all the same terms, forward, anterior, ventral, on the ulnar, or on the olecranon. So the olecranon, this bone here, is kind of like a hook, and it comes into a fossa like this. So this is the humerus. Here's that hook of the ulna right in there. And what I'm doing is I'm pushing with the bat right there, and I'm gliding it this way. That's a mobilization, and that's a mobility that we need in that elbow joint to get that full extension. So from here, mobilize forward. Now I'm very careful to not have the bat or the stick like this. And you can use anything, to do this, but you've got to have enough length to where you can actually get a little leverage. But I'm careful to not put it here, because I'm pushing into that valgus position. I'm pushing this way, which is essentially what happens in the throw. So someone that's had elbow surgery like myself, I got to make sure not to do that. I can turn this way just a little bit, do it on 2 knees, turn this way. So now the force is being applied through the elbow in that direction, not that direction. I want to apply it forward with that pit of the elbow, that cubital fossa. That's the front of the elbow. That's the direction I want to apply the force. So from there, I've done one variation of that. I can do another one here. Same position essentially, but now I'm compressing. I'm weight bearing on that arm. So what that does, if that hook is hitting too far down, too low in that fossa, boom, it's hitting here. I slide it up, it gets more in the middle of the fossa. Sometimes capsular restriction, capsular tightness can change that. Inversely, if I'm hitting too high in the fossa here, if I distract, if I go here and pull up and then provide the mobilization, I can do the opposite. So I slide it down a little bit because there's a pulling force, and now I'm hitting in the center of the socket. If one makes it worse, don't do it. Whichever one makes it feel best when you mobilize it is the one that you do. So there's our bat-assisted self-mobilization with the fulcrum. From there, I like to go into a seated variety. So I'll show you this way, and I'll flip around real quick, and we'll go into our band one. So here, same thing. I can put my arm under the bench here. My arm is here, kind of in just a regular neutral position almost. What I can do is put it into supination by turning my body. So I rotate through my spine, and now you can see that my whole arm turns. It's a top out rotation, and then from there I can grab and scoop right on the back of my humerus here. Scoop, I'm pinning with my leg here on my arm. Rotate, pin, and scoop, and then it's little mobilizations, just little oscillations, or I can hold it. So oscillations and static holds, whatever you feel more comfortable with. Sometimes doing a little pulsation feels a little better, but you can still achieve very good results with either variety. The other thing I can do, and I'll show you this one really quick, is I come here, there, and I could have a band pulling. This is just really easy. I'm nice and compact. When I'm close to my body, I'm strong. So I'm right here, I'm just pulling, pull, 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 static hold. I can rotate more to go more into supination. So when I supinate or turn my palm this way, I'm actually in more of a loose pack position for the joints. There's more potential for that. When I pronate, I change how the bones sit, how the radius sits, which changes the pull on the capsule and pull on the tensegrity of the fascia and the connective tissue. So I can do the same thing, pronation. If the bench is hard, throw a pad in there. But I'm turning my palm this way now, pinning it, and you can see that the axis of the elbow is like this now. So now my pull is a little bit towards me, which is easier as long as I pin with my arm. And now I can come right above that bone right there, boom, right there, scoop, pin, pull. Pulsation. The other thing you can do in this position that's really beneficial is I can actually bend my elbow a little bit. Not a lot, but I bend it shy of where I'm having pain. And then I can apply the same mobilization. So sometimes bending it shy and then creeping down on the bench. So I come this way, not all the way, but maybe 4, 5, 6 inches. That puts a little bit more control up here. I can bend my elbow just a little bit. Same mobilization, and what that's doing is that's mobilizing it closer to an open pack position of the joint where there's more mobility. And it can kind of allow me to do the mobilization if I'm having pain in full extension. So I can still stretch that capsule on the front of the joint by coming down here, little bit of bend and lean to my side, boom, I apply it right there. Let me flip around and show you really quick. Right there, bend, boom. Now I can do it in this position instead of that position. And I'm mobilizing into extension, but I'm doing it in different positions. And I've had athletes that respond really, really well to an elbow extension mobilization where they're in pronation, and I've had others that respond really, really well to supination. So try that out and then, kind of play around with it. If you want to try more with compression, we'll go down onto the ground here with our band. Now I've got my band, I got it hooked up here. I've got it hooked low. Preferably, you'd probably have knee height here or elbow height when I'm on all fours. And I'm gonna bring it across. This way is great because I can do different positions in the wrist, which will either stretch certain tissues at the elbow or slacken them. I take this up here. I'll take it right above the tip of the elbow. Now, I can either do it in supination and turn, and I want the pit of the elbow facing towards that to start. Now I can manipulate it a little bit and turn in external rotation. See how I'm turning my arm? But I have the band pulling here, and it's not below my elbow. That'd be compressing it in there. It's actually just above the tip of my elbow, just above, barely. From there, I lean out against it. I can lean more into it. Just kind of oscillate back and forth, turn my arm, and alter the position of my arm. I got to be careful if I come this way with the pit of the elbow forward and I'm pulling into that valgus. Now I can pronate more. I can do something like this. I can do some mobilizations with movement, more compression, less compression. Kind of finding where I feel like I get a good stretch in that joint, but also where it's not bothering me, and hit that. Now, I can do the opposite. This way is more difficult. Sometimes it activates the bicep, but I like to come out, and I'm going to show you with the left arm, just for the sake of the video, make sure I'm in the shot. So I'm going to come out here, get my hand, I got good tension on the band. I come here, secure my hand down, extend my elbow, and then I come into it. So now what am I doing? It's below my elbow. I'm doing the opposite. And once again, sometimes this will be more effective, and that's something we do a lot with therapy. And the other thing I can do in this position, just so you guys can see really quick, is I can actually traction it by coming here, getting close, and pulling up just a little bit. I got to be careful with tractioning it in this position. And I can also try to elongate the extensor portion and shorten the flexor portion, or vice versa, similar to this. There's a few different ways that you can actually mobilize your elbow joint with compression or distraction. Some of our favorite techniques, mobilizing both the ulna, the forearm part, or the humerus, the upper arm part, to actually create a little clearance in the socket. If you have a capsular restriction, want to get into full elbow extension. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Like I said, before you apply these mobilizations, check out our video on how to assess your elbow so that you can better apply the mobilization and understand if you should or should not apply these. And then also check out some of our manual therapy videos where we've actually done a couple of our more popular videos actually, where we've actually done some elbow extension mobilizations on the table with manual assistance, so you guys can view those, check those out. Check out our website. We're trying to put more stuff on there in terms of blogs. We've got online programs on there, strength and conditioning stuff, and our rotator cuff complete programs, overheadathletics.com. Check that out if you haven't yet. We're looking forward to see you guys in the next video.